Hey guys, if you are watching this video before going to bed, you probably must have already taken 35,000 decisions throughout the day, and 226 out of them were on food alone. And now, think about how many decisions you take a week. How about a month? How about an entire year? Now, if you observe closely, life is all about decisions, and our day-to-day choices shape the reality of our lives. So, what you are going to decide today will be your life tomorrow. However, not all decisions are equal. Deciding which college to enroll in is much more significant than deciding whether you should get a latte or cappuccino. Some decisions are so crucial based on the fact that they influence every other decision that you take, and your life depends on such decisions. So, in this video, we are going to take a look at 5 most important decisions you will ever make. If you choose them poorly, you will probably live a miserable and mediocre life. The first among these important decisions is, how would you let people treat you? It is a saying of a wise man. People are going to treat you the way you allow them to do so. There are essentially 2 types of people. One who is always respected, and the other is the one who is always made fun of. People feel comfortable putting him down, and it's the nice guy all the time who is trying to be liked, which is not surprising indeed. Now, we make this decision unconsciously because it's mostly based on how we are raised when we were kids. As little kids, we know little about this world, and our personality gets shaped by the environment we are raised in. But that doesn't mean you can't change that. Now, it's not suggested for you to start being rude or aggressive, but sometimes, to be liked or accepted by society, we chose to be mistreated. Because most of us are raised to make the people around us happy, and we end up being a people-pleaser adult. And if we are going to be honest about it, it's a choice. Now, what are you going to value more, your dignity or social acceptance? So, if you chose dignity, that doesn't mean you will never be accepted by anyone again. But you are going to behave in such a way that if someone is going to mess with you, you're not going to be silent about it. You aren't just going to accept it and swallow it. Rather, bite them because they deserve it. You are going to stand for yourself and let everyone know that your dignity is above them, and if they aren't comfortable with that, it's their problem. And here's why this is important. Every time someone bites you and you remain silent about it, you are most probably going to spend the rest of your day imagining different scenarios in your mind of how you should have taken revenge. You will eventually be living in the past. However, if you start being extra aggressive, you will push everyone away, which isn't really a good idea either. So start by learning to say no. Remember, being respected and being aggressive are 2 different things. There are some things you don't like to do, like somewhere you don't want to go with friends or something you're just not comfortable with. Just stand up for yourself and say no, and that takes you to the second choice. Now, the second choice is, would you rather live today or tomorrow or yesterday? That sounds weird, right? How can you possibly live in the past or the future? Here's the explanation. You are in the office doing your job, you are happy and excited for the day. But for some petty reason, you get into a conflict with your boss or colleague. You might say some nonsense to each other, but it doesn't last long. Now, the conflict has ended, but you can't stop stressing about it. For the rest of the day, you'll be thinking and imagining, why didn't you say this instead of that? Why didn't you punch him right into his face? The truth about life is that conflicts and problems can't be avoided, and they just happen to be an essential part of life. Now, when you are not good at controlling your thoughts and emotions, again, you end up making unconscious decisions to live either in the past or the future, and never in the present. There is nothing more miserable than that. However, the good news is that's completely under your control. You can decide to live in the present right now. No matter what happens, you aren't going to let that thing to get into your mind. So, if it's a future that you are worried about, it might never happen. In fact, you might not even live to see that. And if it's the past that you're stressed about, you can't bring it back. Think about it. Why sacrifice the present for the past that you can't change? Thirdly, how will you play the game of money? Financial education is much important, as most people make this choice of dealing with money unconsciously and then wonder when they are already down the road, how on earth did they end up in a cycle where all that they do is work to pay the bills, in other words, survive. And that's simply because it's a choice that you have to make, but you never get financially educated. It's not taught in school nor universities or anywhere else. Money is a game, and some people are exceptional at it, and some are extremely bad. That's why 8 richest people in the world have the same wealth as the poorest 50%, and the rest of us are somewhere in the middle. Now, if you aren't financially literate, where do you think you are going to be in this question? Everyone has to make a choice whether he or she is going to play this game defense or offense. Most of the people are doing their best and struggling not to drown. As for them, money is a limited resource. On the other side, there are people who believe that the only limited resource that they have is time. So instead of spending another 2 hours in the shop to find dress that's 80 cents cheaper than the one he is getting, he keeps growing so that an hour of his time worth much more than 20 cents. If you are in a dark financial position, you are probably playing it wrong. Maybe it's time to educate yourself financially. Financial education is much more important than we think, and better to be financially literate before stepping into practical life. Next, what are you going to sacrifice? Life is all about sacrifices. No matter who you are, rich or poor, famous or unknown, strong or weak, you can't play out the time. It's a limited resource. Now, instead of watching this video, you could have done all sort of things. But you sacrificed all of that to watch this video. Good job! So how about you also give it a thumbs up so we can continue with the rest of the video? There are small sacrifices and there are big sacrifices. You can't have everything in life if you want to have a balanced life. You probably won't be super successful financially. If you chose to become an entrepreneur and start your own thing, you might have to put aside your social life, for example. A lot of people avoid this question. Some even think that they can have everything, but what ends up happening is that they will keep chasing everything till they run out of time but achieve nothing at the end of the day. And finally, will you let your preconceptions dictate your life? Most people live with their preconceptions, and that's normal. Because as you grow up as a little kid, your entire perspective on everything, starting from religion to money to relationships to politics, is shaped by your parents, teachers, siblings, and guess what? Those preconceptions influence every other decision that you take in your life. Of course, you can keep living by these preconceptions, but the problem is that they might not always be true or accurate. Therefore, you will end up making bad decisions because they will be based on those preconceptions. At some point, you have to analyze everything you have been taught as a little kid. When you make your own mind based on facts and the reality you live in, a huge window of opportunity will open in front of you. Some of you will probably disagree here, that there are far important decisions like whether you should buy a house or not, or go to college or whatever. But when you make such decisions, you usually gather the facts first and then make up your mind. However, when it comes to these 5 choices, you just make them unconsciously, but they end up affecting your entire life. And if you make the wrong decisions, you will end up living miserably. Even if you have taken a poor decision earlier, remember, you can change that whenever you want. It's something that we all can control. And anyways, make sure you hit that like button if you have enjoyed this video, and click that subscribe button and the bells besides. Thank you for watching, and see you guys soon.